Some Bulldog baseball, and the Ortiz Bulldogs are in the NMAA State Baseball Tournament, and head coach J.J. Ortiz is with us. Congratulations on the team getting into the playoffs and getting a home game.
Yes, sir. Thank you. Yeah, they only give 8 teams a home game, and so for us to get one, we're excited about it and looking forward to playing.
Of course, it's Goddard, which
yes,
is
sir.
Always interesting when those brackets come out, isn't it?
Yes, sir. Yeah, you know what? We're happy to have a home game and take advantage of playing in front of our fans and give our fans another opportunity to see us play and whoever it is, we're happy to play Goddard and they're it's going to be a challenge for us also because they're a really good team.
Well, they are. I think they had one other loss in district, and then their only other losses in district were to Artesia, the Thursday night game and the first game on Friday. And all 3 of those games were close games. I think in the Thursday night game, Artesia had one big inning, which helped out with that win. Plus, I think you had a complete game from your pitcher that night.
Yes, sir. Yeah, all 3 games we had complete games for our pitchers, and they threw really well. Just that Friday game, the second game on Friday, we just didn't take advantage, and we made too many mistakes, and they took advantage of our mistakes, and so that was the difference. But yeah, excited. I'm really excited about our chances in the state tournament. Taking care of business. If we take care of business against Goddard, then we're going to face probably a St. Pius team and be able to throw our, one of our best pitchers at them. And I think they're going to be overlooking us also because we're a 7th seed. And then if we win that game, then we have a chance to play probably Los Alamos again, and they'll probably already use their number 1 pitcher, and so
who we saw
yes, sir.
In our tournament,
and so they don't have a lot of depth in pitching, and we do, and so it works out for us if we take care of business. But I mean, we got to win these. We got to win 2 games here at home. And then go from there. But, that's what we're focused on now is just winning these 2 games.
Sure. I think, was it Albuquerque Academy got the number 1 seed in 4A? And have you had a chance to see them or scout them at all?
We played against Albuquerque Academy in Rio Rancho tournament, and we lost 9-6. And, it was a close game. And so we saw their number 2 pitcher, and I think if we see them again, with that experience against them and changing some things that happened in that game, their coach did a good job of picking our signs, and so we've worked on that, changed some things up to prevent that, and so he pretty much knew almost every pitch we were throwing, and so we have some youth behind the played as our catcher, and he'd never really experienced that, and so we tried to switch it up, and the coach just did a good job of seeing what we were doing and communicating that to the batters, and so they pretty much knew every pitch, and so that made a huge difference in that game, and when we switched it up, it took him a little bit, and then he picked it up again, and then the angle where he was standing pretty far back. He wasn't close to the coaching box, and so he was able to see some of our pitchers, their hands and how they're gripping the ball, and so we have a plan. We have a plan for that, and so it's just part of the game, and we got to be better, and we are going to be better, and we learned from it, and so improving that.
Well, and people don't realize this. I got accused once, not by Artesia people, of our video. You're focusing on the coaches and they're stealing our signs. And I'm like, well, no, we're not focusing on the coaches, but sometimes it's hard to get a shot and not have something in the shot. But that's almost an art trying to steal the other team's signs and
Yes, sir.
trying to figure out how to do that or hide what you're trying to do or your sequence of what you're trying to do from the other team.
Yeah, and I have a different way of signaling signs to our catcher for pitches, but he has a way. We have a way for him to signal to the pitcher. And so they changed the rule this year where a pitcher can wear a band on his arm, and the catcher can wear a band, so we can communicate with the pitcher and catcher. And so they'll just be looking at me, so they won't even have to communicate with each other. And so we've been working on it a little bit.
Yeah,
a couple games, and some teams you just start doing it, and you can tell they're not even trying to steal signs. Or sometimes when you get a guy on second base, they're looking at the catcher and they're trying to signal it. And some teams do, some teams don't. And so just part of the game.
Oh yeah.
So
well, and you see a lot more in high school baseball with the runner at second base trying to put a play on with the runner at second base. You get up to the upper levels, they don't worry about it as much.
Right.
As they do, but that is a big concern because you've got really good pitching and then you've got not so good pitching, and whereas you get up, the more the level you go, the more consistent everything is with.
Yes, sir.
Because that's another thing too. If you look at the major leagues, from top to bottom, there's just a fraction of a difference between the level of play, but then you get into high school level and it can be
definitely
be pretty crazy. What are some of the things that the team's really improved on this year that you and the coaches have really been happy with?
Yeah, we really focused on our bunting and small ball and moving guys over and work on it all the time, and just done a really good job at that. Hitting, we've been hitting the ball. Get a lot of compliments from other teams at how good we hit the ball. The El Paso schools. We had our district coaches meeting yesterday and just talk about how good we've been hitting the ball. And so we've had speed the last couple of years, and so that's been good for us. Defensively, we've been pretty solid. I think the other thing that these guys do a good job of is I put them in different positions, and for them to, I put Julian Rodriguez at second base. He hadn't played second base, and he made some plays there for us on Friday. We had to do it just because we had some injuries in that position, and so for them to adjust, Frankie Galindo hasn't really played catcher, and he's been playing catcher for us all year. And so for him to accept that role and take it and do the best he can at it, and no complaints, and putting Devin Fierro played shortstop for us a lot of the year. Then I put him to second base, and Nia Estrada was catching for us. He's at shortstop, and so Julian Rodriguez was an outfield, put him at third base, second base, back to outfield. These guys, for them to adjust and be okay with different roles has been huge for us.
Yeah. So it's a best 2 out of 3, so it's not 3 games unless there's a split in the first 2. And the first game is Friday at 5 o'clock?
Yes, sir.
Okay. And I guess they're selling tickets locally for these. You can still walk up to the door or to the gate or booth
Yes, sir.
and buy a ticket for this, so that's good. Whereas when you go up to Albuquerque next week, you'll have to do the GoFan app thing. And then the Saturday game is at 11?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Yeah.
And if there's a third game necessary, it would be
Following,
right
yeah.
after that.
Yeah, they didn't really give us a lot of options on that. They said can't be before 3 o'clock on Friday. And so from 3 o'clock, and can't be after 7 o'clock. And so they said from 3 to 7, and we're still in class till 3:20. And so, and then on Saturday they said 10 or 11. And so that's it.
Those are your choices.
Yes, sir.
Well,
So-
softball's at 10, so I guess
Right.
that's why you took the 11 o'clock time.
Yes, sir.
And-
Yeah, it started a little later than softball, encourage those fans from softball to just walk over and watch us play. So.
Yeah. Well, I'm still waiting for the golden golf cart for Joby because I've got a shortage of announcers this weekend. I found out it's Mother's Day weekend. So anyway, so Joby's going to start over at softball, and then just as soon as that game's over, he's got to get over to baseball. I'm going to start announcing on the baseball game on Saturday, but we need that golden golf cart so we can get Joby over there as quickly as we can after that. I'm assuming concessions will be in full operation this weekend.
Yes, sir. Yeah, come get some sweet tea. Have really good sweet tea, really good concession, and we have such an awesome stadium. It'd be nice to host more games here.
That's right. That's right.
So, you look around the state. We have one of the better stadiums in the state. So, we're happy about having another game at Brainerd Park. So.
Yeah. Well, you just played Goddard this year, just in the district, right? We hadn't seen him prior to this.
No, sir. We saw him at our tournament. We saw him at Rio Rancho. We didn't play against him, but we saw him play, and so know a lot about each other.
Mm-hmm.
And a lot of the guys, that we faced last year are playing again this year, and so yeah, it makes it where they're tough games because you know so much about each other. Just like look at our other sports, and our basketball had to play Lovington a ton of times, and it makes those games tough, and they're really close, and so it's going to be a good series.
Yeah, sure is. And so it starts Friday at 5 o'clock at Brainerd Baseball Park. One other thing I was going to ask you about, and I asked you about it before we went on the air, it looked like we had some scouts at the game Friday night. You were telling me those are some Artesia kids.
Yeah, those are some of our juniors. They're football players, and we have them in class, and they told us about it, and they're like, we're going to go pretend we're scouts.
Well, they put on a heck of a show.
Yeah, and they even had some T-shirts, some college T-shirts on or something. I don't know.
Yep, they did.
And they
had their notepads.
Yes, sir.
And then even one of them looked like he had a radar gun.
Yeah, they... I'm just glad they came and supported us, and, had a good time, and so it's fun having high school kids do that, and so
that's fun. At one point in the Goddard game at Goddard, the fans sit right behind the fence, a little bit closer to the fence than at Artesia, and I wasn't happy with the microphone placement, not because of anything that was being said, but I just wasn't happy with it. So I went down there and I moved the microphone, and one of the fans was like, "What, are we making too much noise for you guys?" I said, "No, you're fine." And it really wasn't because of that, but it's a little bit more intimate atmosphere, I guess, there at Goddard. Although, as you say, Brainerd's a great place, and you can get a lot more people in there, and they're just not right up on top of the fence. And you got a lot more. I mean, Brainerd's got a lot more foul territory too, which you have to get used to. Lovington, when you went over to Lovington, they have 2 light poles in the field of play. You mentioned that last week. So every ballpark's a little bit different, and you have to get used to the quirks. And
yeah, definitely unique. It's right there by houses. They have the huge net to protect the houses, and they still get hit.
Oh yeah.
So yeah, that's what's awesome about baseball. The different stadiums. When you look at the pro stadiums, they're all a little different, unique. Some of those old stadiums are a lot of history with them, and so I was talking to my son's Little League coach yesterday, and we were talking about the field. My son was asking about our fields, and he said, "Are all the fields standard size?" I said, "No, they're all different." And I was like, it's crazy. Moriarty, I grew up in Moriarty, and our center field was 410 feet.
Yeah.
to center field.
Nobody's hitting it out straight away. Yeah.
It was just a huge field, and I think down the lines was like 375. It's just
big.
Just a huge baseball field, and they're just all different. Something. Isotopes has that little, like a little berm in the outfield, and so that's what makes it a great sport.
Sure, and And Artesia's ballpark, Brainerd Baseball Park, has a history too with the professional, semi-pro baseball being played there many, many years ago.
Yes, sir.
And when I first moved to Artesia, they didn't have the nice concession building and the locker rooms and everything that's been added over the years. If you look underneath the bleachers, you see a little cement slab and you see some holes that have been filled in. That was the bathroom. And those holes were the toilets. That was it. That was the bathroom for that facility. So it's certainly seen some great improvements over the years, and it is a great ballpark to see. Do you see that on the high school level, 325, 350, about normal?
Yeah. Lovington's a little smaller. I think it's like 315. But they're all around that size. I think Carlsbad's field's a little bigger, but they don't have the size on the fence. So I'm not sure how big it is, but you could tell it's bigger. So
yeah,
but yeah, they're all around the same. So just
Hobbs has done a nice job with their ballpark, and they've got the turf and it looks real nice.
Yeah, and they actually are trying to improve their bleachers, their stands for the fans. He asked me to take a picture of ours and send it over to him so he could show his superintendent and something like, they would like something like ours. Yeah. Because they do have a really nice facility out there, and a lot of they share their facility with the city. And so the city, I think both of them put money into it. Yeah. There's a lot of softball fields right there, slow pitch softball and high school softball fields and youth softball and youth baseball fields, and so they have a lot of games there. So
yeah, but the distance from home plate to first to second to third, the pitcher, that's all the same. It's when you get out into the other aspects of the ballpark you have to get used to. We saw this in Lovington. One of the Lovington players came up short on a foul ball when there was still more room to go, and so every ballpark you go to, you've got to kind of get used to, where how far you can go to get a foul ball and stuff like that.
Yeah, and the mound should be 10 inches high from the top of the home plate. It should be 10 inches higher than the home plate, and sometimes that's a little different. Like Carlsbad, theirs might be 16 inches. It's we joke around with them. We say, this isn't a mound, it's a mountain. But that's a Carlsbad thing. That's a tradition that they've always done. They always had that mound like that, and they're not going to change it.
Yeah.
So
we might have to ask Coach Mondragon to check the height of the basketball hoops. If they're doing some of that over there. Right. That's interesting. I guess they had how did they do against Hobbs?
They lost the first one 1-0.
Well, I heard about that. The pitcher, was it Price?
Perry.
Perry had a really good game. And
I think it was no-hitter.
No-hitter, and then gave up a solo home run. And, and that was it. And they lost the game. And that's the funny thing about baseball. You can have – that's a great performance by the pitcher. One pitch. Yep. And you lose the game.
Yeah, he had like 15 strikeouts also. And, and then they played them in Hobbs on Friday and won both games 10-1 and 7-4, and so it really shocked me. I thought Hobbs would win one of those games on Friday, but you never know with baseball. You never know. Carlsbad pitched a guy that I really hadn't heard how he was doing, or really I didn't even know he was a pitcher, and he won one of those games, and they ended up getting the number 1 seed. Yep. And which is crazy because Rio Rancho was the number 1 seed all year in 5A. Right. And they're a 7 seed.
I know. The criteria points, and all that factor comes into it. And because I watched the seeding and selection show, and the JP was pretty adamant at the beginning of that. This is all on the criteria points. Okay, if that's what you say. Right. And I'm sure it is. Do that. So Friday night, 5 o'clock, Saturday at 11, and then on to Albuquerque. It's kind of a shame you don't get to, if you get to the state championship, don't get to play at Isotopes Park. I think just 5A gets played at Isotopes.
Yeah, 5A game will be at 10:30 on Saturday at Isotopes, and our championship is 7 p.m. at UNM.
On Saturday. So
Yes,
you get the late game on Saturday. So well, UNM's not a bad ballpark.
No, yeah, it's nice.
It's how what's it dimension wise compared
It's
to
big. It's a big field. I don't know exactly, but I know outfield's probably like 405 or something like that. It's like the right center. I think it's 405. It's a big field.
It's a big part. What do you think about the transition from the aluminum bats back to the wooden bats? That's been going on for a few years now.
Yeah, I think the biggest difference is the sound. You'd
right.
be hearing the different sound, but it goes from maybe a 3-inch sweet spot on a wooden bat to a 6-inch. It doubles, but you still gotta hit it. You still gotta put a ball in play, and so we faced that team from El Paso, both those teams, and they use metal bats, and we hung right in there with them.
Oh yeah,
and that's one of the teams that said, you guys, it doesn't matter what kind of bat you guys use. You guys can hit the ball. And so, it's just, I voted to keep wood bats. And so we're going back to the metal, the BB core bats. And so.
So is it going back to metal bats?
Yes, sir. Next year.
Next year? Really?
Yeah. So.
Well, what wasn't the purpose of the wooden bats to cut with everybody going into turf? To maybe cut down on the speed of the ball coming off the bat and cut down on home runs, or
I don't really know. I don't know what the.
But I think there's a cost factor because bats break, and they're not cheap.
Those metal bats, they break also.
Do they?
Yeah. So a lot of them, they're making them. They're 2 pieces now, and so they'll break also. I mean, it's not as often as a wooden bat, and and the bats we buy are composite bats, and so they don't break that often either, but.
So they're going back to the metal bats now.
Yes, sir.
That'd be interesting. Well, I heard that at the Carlsbad tournament. The first time that the El Paso team got a hit, and I heard this bing. Where did that come from? They're using metal bats, and it is a different sound.
Yeah, and a lot of the coaches I talked to wanted to stay with wooden bats, so I don't know the numbers on the vote.
Criteria points.
Yeah. Probably there's the criteria points.
So, very good. Well, good luck this weekend, and hopefully get it done in 2, and we'll be there to cover it for folks that can't make it, but we certainly encourage as many people as possible to come out and watch the Bulldogs. The last chance to see this this team, and
yes, sir.
It's a good team.
Yes, sir. All right, thank you. Yeah, just encourage everyone to come watch us, and it'll be some really good baseball.
All right.
Some good games. So,
thanks a lot, Coach.
All right,
Appreciate it.